were airborne for just a moment, and we were really up in the air. We were really up in the air.
Hello and welcome to another flight simulator video with me, Maxwell's Virtual Aviation. So today we're just going to go on a little flight and talk about the Trimotor and Flight Simulator 2024. The news has dropped and I have opinions, and fortunately for you, I get to share them. So it is enjoyable being a mouth with a platform. I'm not going to lie. So what we are going to do is we're going to do one of our scheduled flights from Missoula to Polson in the Trimotor. Trimotor coming out at this time has been really cool because Johnson Flying Service, who pioneered mountain flying, they flew the Trimotor, crashed a couple. So I selected Mountain Clouds. And we're going to change that. We are going to... Let me turn my head off here. There we go. We're just going to change that because it's awesome. And if I weren't attempting to record a video, then that would actually be a really cool preset. But that's what I'm trying to do. So give me one moment here. And we'll just do my favorite one, which is that one. Yeah. Let's see what else we got here. These are all different. I downloaded a couple of weather presets just so that when I'm doing this, I can do that. FS Realistic is, there we go, is connected. So we get that. So anyway, Johnson Flying Service pioneers mountain flying. Flew the floor Trimotor out of Missoula, not out of our brand new terminal here, of course, but we are going to. We're going to honor that and just do a little flight while I talk about FS 2024. Who'd have thought that we would see the day? All right. Let's get things started up here first. I've got to focus on systems before I talk about simulators. So I really struggled at first to get this aircraft started, so hopefully maybe this will help anyone who has struggled with getting the aircraft started. There is a manual buried deep within the recesses. I just normally go to my community folder, backtrack to my packages, find the official, go to Trimotor, and it's under documentation. And if you follow it to the letter, it'll start. So that's pretty cool. I do have my Alpha Bravo set up for a Trimotor setup, which is actually really cool. All right, so we're just going to do this real quick. This is just the vintage panel. It's what I've been flying with. It works great. So we are going to move the fuel selector to the left engine. Well, first we're going to turn the battery on. Like so, and you can see our fuel gauges come up here. We're going to check our battery. 12 volts. That looks good. We are going to, actually, let me see how much space we have. First, we're going to do a pushback here. I'm going to assume that our passengers and baggage have been loaded. And that's just a Shift P command. Interesting that the pushback add-on I had on did not activate. That's fine though. There we go. And the park brake can come back on. Alright, now we have enough room to turn around. So I've selected the fuel selector of the left engine. I'm going to unlock the fuel selector. I'm going to prime it 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. I am then going to relock that, and I'm going to move this to cover that. So briefly, let's get our mixture rich there. Advance our throttle ever so slightly. Understanding how the starting system in this worked helped a lot with how to start it. When I press the starter button, it winds up the starter. It creates potential energy. When I turn on the solenoid, it's changing that potential energy into kinetic energy, and then the magnetos give it spark. So The best advice I have if you struggle to start this is go ahead and let that starter pop up. It takes about 10 seconds. Once that starter pops up, that is your cue to engage your engine solenoids, and then I wait till about a count of 5. Starts every time. So here we go. So we're going to wait for that starter solenoid to pop up there. It'll take about 10 seconds. There it is.
Clear prop.
All right, so that is that. Wait about 5 seconds and we can go ahead, give it spark. And there we go. Started and running, and I'll just repeat that with the other engines. Center engine. Unlock that. 1, 2, 3, 4. There it is. Give it fuel. Starter. Wait for that starter button to come up. Again, it'll take about 10 seconds. Wait about 5 seconds. And there we go. Fuel to the left, to the right engine. I may have got my left and rights confused. That's okay. All right, start sequence complete. Now, I would normally use ATC, but we're not going to. Because it's like 1923 in our airports, and they're completely wrong location from where it'd be historically, and, you know, a bunch of other stuff. But here we go. We're going to let's take off on the short runway. We can't actually use ATC to get us that, so that's what we're going to do. Now, it is my understanding that who's still flying tail-mounted jets? Anyway, my understanding that you'd use your center engine for moving around on the ground, so that's what we're going to do. It's cool because whereas our previous... losing a few frames here due to the recording. Our previous terminal was very unique. It was like a terminal on top of a terminal on top of a terminal, where they would just keep adding to the terminal building. Our new terminal is pretty bog standard. I mean, it's awesome and modern and very, very cool, but the reality is it's actually pretty bog standard. So... this aircraft looks really good. Like, really good. Alright, I see how we're going to get there. Oh, we should probably turn some lights on. There we go. Flown this plane in a crosswind, flown it in some weather up north. It's pretty unflappable. The modern For basics, altitude and heading hold, the modern autopilot works just fine. I don't need to get any more than that in this aircraft, but it does let me fly for a long period of time without having my hands on the controls, and that's really what I look for in an airplane, honestly. So this is an updated Missoula International Terminal that I downloaded off flightsim.to. And it is a much better representation of what the airport looks like than default. Obviously still not perfect, but it does make me happy that someone took the time to make my home airport. So. But no, the Trimotor's been an absolute joy to fly. I have resisted setting up a Trimotor setup on my Bravo. Well, because I didn't have a Trimotor. The German Trimotors are cool, but could never really wanted to pull the trigger. They were super interesting aircraft, but never wanted to pull the trigger. But now I have. I'm very happy that I have too. On this one, well, it was free because it was part of the celebrations for Flight Sim Expo. All right. I watched some videos of, really? Our catering trucks, apparently. That's right, move. I love you, Flight Sim, for this reason. Oof! That was kind of rough. Activate my eyes here. Let's look up. Traffic pattern, there's no one there. Let's check down, no one's there. Alright, we're just going to plow right through this truck. I mean, we can try to avoid it here. I mean, we're going to chop them up with the other propeller, but we're going to pretend like that didn't happen, so. Hopefully in Flight Sim 2024, they address ground traffic a little better. Alright, here we go. Apparently, this is actually a really easy aircraft to fly in real life. Watch out for those birds up there. Here we go. A little bit of rudder. I don't know whether in Flight Sim or whether in reality the last time that this runway has seen a takeoff. But you wait for that nose to come down and a little bit of back pressure. And we're off. This aircraft was renowned for its bush flying. And I can totally see why. Airplane Heaven, you've done a really good job. Just like you did on the DC-3. I don't care what anyone else says. There's our first power reduction there. Alright, and we will head north towards Polson, which is the first leg of this journey. We've got passenger and mail. So Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. What do I think about it? Well, it's not a surprise. It seemed like to a lot of people who maybe haven't been around the franchise as long as some of us have. I hate saying that, but it's true. This is how the Microsoft Flight Simulator property has operated since Microsoft Flight Simulator version 1.0. Every 2 to 4 years, we get a brand new simulator with backwards compatibility. That's how it's worked. And then there are those of us who are about a decade behind the process, who just enjoy Flight Simulator and flying. And that is possibly where we're going to be again. And there's nothing wrong with that. I've heard it called a betrayal. The sky is falling. No, it's not. No, it's not. I mean, let's look at my own Flight Simulator history. Started Flight Simulator 98. I remember the Learjet on the cover. Man, I was excited. I finally got Flight Simulator. I got Flight Simulator. I played that for about half a decade. And then I got Flight Simulator 2000, a brief stint with 2002, and then 2004. Now, 2004, which is where the Trimotor originally was in the franchise, that I played that for a decade, invested a lot into that simulator, even when FSX was coming out, even when, Flight came out. I was pretty hardcore 2004, and I built my airline career on that, flying vintage planes, couple hundred hours flying, the DC-3 and stuff. That's where I got all my DC-3 work, was in Flight Simulator 2004. Another power reduction there. And from then on, like, I got FSX, and I played FSX and FSX Steam Edition for about another 5 to 6 years before I got Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. And I played whatever version of the simulator my current computer would support. And that is, I never felt that I lacked any of the enjoyment of my peers who perhaps had a more advanced version of the simulator than myself. I have always been very happy with whatever version of the simulator I had. And it's never really been a thing. So I think that 2024 is going to be very, very similar to that experience. I saw the interview that I'll actually attempt to link below in the description that they did at Flight Sim Expo about what's coming down the pike for 2024, and I am, as I was with this one, cautiously optimistic. Remember, I went out and built a brand new computer for this simulator. That is the only reason that I have the computer that I have, and why I built it the way that I did, was to run this simulator. And because it's a custom built, if I need to upgrade it, I can. And now that all the base components are in, that ability to upgrade is going to be a little bit more financially possible because of it. So that, and more upgradable than any other time in my flight simulator history, because all of the components I bought separately and installed in the case. Morning coffee. Taking a lull in the activity of the day to record this video because, as I said, I've wanted to record this for a little bit now. But let's take a look at our airplane. There is a sight that Missoula has seen before. I hope someone will do a Johnson Flying Service livery for this, because that would be amazing. As far as the Trimotor goes, I've got no problems. Once I figured out how to start, I've been flying it a lot. For no other reason than it's a really fun aircraft to fly. It's very stable, very forgiving. It's not very fast, but if you're used to flying a Cessna or some of the smaller airframes, then that is nothing new. So, no, that's pretty much what I have to say on Flight Simulator 2024, is that I am super excited. I like what they're saying, and that, they're going to continue backing up this sim for another decade. They are not stopping development on this, but as always, if you want to move forward in your flight simulator experience, you're probably going to need at some point to upgrade to 2024. But that's how it's always been. That's nothing new. Here, we're going to lean these just a little bit. There we go. Listen to that slight increase in power there as our fuel mixture is a little better. Nope, I am not not surprised with Flight Simulator 2024 at all. I really look forward to it. It will not be a first day purchase for me. I'll probably wait a little bit, couple of months, and just see how it settles in on people's machines, and then I'll probably buy it. Then I'll probably put it. I might install another hard drive and put it on this machine. We'll see. Because this hard drive that I have is basically full. Flight sim stuff. So, or I will upgrade completely and port over all of my purchased add-ons and things, which they say I'll be able to do. So, that'll be a plus. All right, well, we're on our way to Polson, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. I will catch you on the landing, I guess. So landing this aircraft, the hardest thing is to actually get your speed to a realistic landing speed. This number right there is 60. And your approach speed is about 85 to 60. And for anyone used to flying a more modern aircraft, let me tell you, it's kind of tough. Kind of tough. I'm afraid the thing will just fall out of the sky. It won't, of course, but... Alright. Probably start moving that direction here anytime now. Below us is the highway that I drive every weekend to go sailing. Alright, let's find out where that airport is. All right, runway in sight. Approach speed of about 85 to 60. We'll see if we can get there. A huge portion of this is just remembering that touchdown is 45 miles an hour in this airplane. That is really low. Really low. All right, runway in sight. What a pretty day. A little bit windy. This isn't real weather, but still a pretty day. Polson Bay will, in fact, wave up pretty good because it's so shallow. So now that I'm actually in the landing sequence, I can see what one forum user said about this airplane not having any drag. I'm fairly certain that it will have drag, but you've just got to basically have no engines on it. Looks like I'm a little bit to the right, or a little to the left. And we'll counter trim here. Looks like we've got a crosswind. Coming to our approach speed now. That's looking good. There we go. Feed in just a touch of engine here. You know, she'll land pretty well here. Little high. Motor's coming off. Oof. And a bit of a bounce. And we're off the runway. This is a really good example of when I should have used differential engines, but and it's going to be the long taxi back. I was a bit of a handful there, but then again, crosswind landings have never been my strength. So, managed to take out all the runway lights on the right side of there, but there's a walk around of a Ford Trimotor on the internet. I'll link it down below, and the docent talks about, he's got a little bit of time in the Trimotor, about how that differential engine use is really important. Same for the DC-3, you know, you hear him talk about using the engines to help with crosswinds and stuff. Not something that I necessarily do. Another thing I noticed is that they taxi really fast. Really fast. But differential engines here to make these tighter corners, and we'll just bring it up over here. So in summary, after a not at all decent landing, In summary, basically, Flight Simulator 2024. This is the best any flight simulator I have ever had has looked. The same way that 98 was the best, the same way 2000 was the best, the same way 2002 was the best, the same way that Century of Flight was, the same way that FSX was. I am still blown away every single time I get into this simulator. So if I can't say get into 2024 right away, it's okay. I'm obviously having a lot of fun in 2020. And that's all right. That is all right. I'm gonna jump over here real quick just so I can watch this side. Try not to hit the fuel truck that is there for no apparent reason. Just giving little bursts of my center engine here to keep us moving. All in all, a relatively controllable airplane. It is really a joy to fly. And I have really enjoyed flying it. Welcome to Polson. I've got 3 or 4 other stops up the valley I'm going to need to make. But this has been a short Trimotor flight. And my thoughts on Flight Simulator 2024. We'll catch you in the next one, whenever that may be.